wabarakatuh. Pakhair Ali. I am Salman and I'm here with useful topic as you know. And inshallah from beginning as we have been starting our new sessions about the different topics that we are coming with the different aspects. So first of all that I'm going to share the very useful topic and it's very beneficial for you and for me as well. Mr. Haris and Mr. Suleiman, first of all that you have to describe yourself. Who is Mr. Suleiman? Let's start now.
First of all, hi,
Mr. Suleiman, who is Mr. Suleiman? Please introduce yourself.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Sulaiman Khan from Mardan. I had completed FSC of Government College of Mardan.
Well, good job. Okay, now Mr. Harris, it's my turn to move you this. Why the people are calling you Mr. Harris? You have to explain yourself. Who is Mr. Harris?
Okay, why not? Okay, so let me introduce myself. I'm Mohammad Haris from Mardan and I'm studying psychology.
Well, good job. Okay, as for example, as you are the student of the being a psychologist, so why not? I'm still compel my towards that I'm sharing some of the useful topic with you about which one topic that we are going to discuss today. SQ3R methods. ओके इंशाल्लाह थोड़ी देर हम इसको उर्दू में बातचीत करेंगे क्योंकि हमारे जो ऑडियंस है हमारे जो विजुअल है ताकि वो इस चीज़ से हम इस्तेफादा हासिल कर सकें इसकी वजूहात क्यों हैं द इसके जो ऊपर जो थंबनेल का मैंने आपके साथ जिक्र किए कि फ़र्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इफ़ यू वांट टू डिस्क्राइब anything if you want to present anything so the first you have to know about the introduction am I right and as for example if you know about the introduction definitely you will compel yourself to try find out the merits and demerits of it for example the advantage of this method and disadvantage of this method अब ये टेक्निकें हम करते क्यों हैं किस वजह से करते हैं इसकी ज़रूरत हमें क्यों पड़ी सही है so first of all as for example if you want to do study definitely as you are being a student and I am as Mr. Harris you are also so why we are doing so the first of all that you have to must remember this thing actually from childhood and from the class 1 we have been studying but nobody can teach us how to do study did you teach anyone can how you to do study definitely this is that's why nobody can teach us study इसी वजह से तो हम रट्टे लगाते हैं और रट्टे की बुनियाद ये होती है ताकि हम किस चीज़ को हम समझने के बाद अगर इसको हम समझेंगे then we can easily define that's why we have to know about these techniques about what SQ3R from where this technique has been derived from why and what was the reason that had been described to us the one of psychologist his name was psychologist his name was the Robinson he had written 1946 in one of the articles about the study techniques so this one was the one of them is a very noble at that moment SQ3R method so first of all you have to just describe S mean what survey okay and the Q mean what questions and the R mean what read okay and the second R1 mean recite and recall same thing okay and the last one is mean you have to review
Yes.
is it clear SQ3R methods okay this is very important why we are doing this one as Mr. Harris, as for example, we are doing this purpose, for example, we have to know how to do study and how to grab our focus and in particular subject. As for example, now we are learning English language, but we don't know the method of it. So could we learn?
No.
Definitely we will not be done. That's why this is a main purpose that we have to must know about the method of it. As for example, how we are learning and how to do learning. Now I'm going to share the one of the example. As for example, please give me your register. Well, thank you. As for example, now I'm going to a real example in front of you. As for example, this is a paragraph that I have. Okay, this is a paragraph that I have. The first of all, as for example, do you have a one chapter? Definitely, this is a kind of a book that I have. Is a one chapter that I have. So what happened? First of all, I have to must highlight the title of it.
Yes.
Okay, and we have to must highlight the paragraph, the some graphs. Okay, and we have to must highlight the subtitle is also. But this process in survey we have to do just in 2 minutes, in 4 minutes. Just remember, okay, inshallah I'll tell you how we can do this thing. And the second one, after that, as for example, this is a chapter that I have, definitely at the end we will find some questions, as like other books that in when for example data physics books, these are all introduction about introductory to mechanic physics. But definitely at the end of this chapter will be what, definitely it will be what, we have to some of the question will be there. That's why, as for example, that we have some question over there, so we can easily identify this title is related to this question. This question, as for example, this is a what about define physics, okay, and there I have studies about types for physics, why we are learning physics. So definitely you can grab your mind. There's you have to read once time at the previous lecture. That's why we have to do survey for being starting our any lecture or any topic. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Inshallah, I'll describe it then more. The how much is remaining? R. The first you have to do read with properly. You have to read with properly. How you can to do it? As I told you, the reading techniques. How what was the techniques of the reading? Intensive reading, extensive reading, okay, skimming and scanning. These are the part of it. But intensive reading you can do in that this moment. As for example, I do one survey for it. I compare the questions from the lectures and the end of the exercise, and now the time has been came, and now I'm doing to what we call to read intensively. Intentionally, you have to read focusedly and deep with deep details. Clear? As for example, as you did this activity within 15 minutes, you have to read with 15 minutes. As for example, our mostly our one chapter consists of the 5 pages or 6 pages. Almost our chapters are short and short time minimum. So then you have to read once time, then the time has been, then you have to recite or read or recall, same thing. What will happen? Try to memorize thing. But before the memorizing, you have to read by intentionally. You have to understand these structures, these paragraph, and then you can memorize it. But why are the Pakistani students, and now as I had also, but now I am not doing now. पहले हमारे जो स्टूडेंट्स थे वो ये कहते चीज़ को समझाए बगैर इसको याद कर लेते हैं। यही याद होती है, ये रट्टा इसको कहते हैं, और यही रट्टा जो होते हैं हम इसको फिर हम नहीं सीख पाते हैं. That's why we have to understand and then we have to read it. That's why I told you have to write once again your daily routine, your introduction, and your hobbies. You have to able to speak who is Mr. Suleiman and who is Mr. Harris. So if you know about yourself by verbal communication and non-verbal communication, then you can easily define yourself. That's why, for example, if you have to read once time by deeply, then you have to memorize it. And if you memorize it, and then you have to revise. But the question rising here, where we have to do revise and how to do revise. This is also technique, inshallah, I'll share with you. Revise as for example, if you read once time, you have to memorize it. According to the some of these researchers, they said that you have to read in 25 and 24 hours once time. As for example, you have given 2 hours at this academy. You are learning English language, right? And for example, why I'm saying to you have to must recite at home? Why am I saying to you have to must revise at home? That's why you have to recall. Your mind will be familiar with this thing. How you could revise this thing. So according to some of the researchers or some of the scientists said that if you revise in a hour in just for 5 minutes, your whole work you will be not forget. You will not forget. Why? Actually, your mind will be habitual. But as for example, today we have discussed about the SQ3R method, but you will not revise at home. So definitely you will be not understanding what did Mr. Salman say. Definitely you will be not understanding. But if you revise the whole work in 24 hours just for the 5 minutes, just for the 10 minutes according to your work, definitely you will be not forget. But remember, and here the one of my mentor now, Alhamdulillah, he's our mentor. His method, I realize it. His method when he comes in our class, So he used to revise the whole work from start. As for example, the one of our subject was about the food safety. So he said, what does mean by the food? What does mean by the safety? And how they are interrelated among themselves, and how it helps among. So then he, for example, they are just revised for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Then he start a new lectures. What's the reason? That's why when I searched about this method, so I realized that his method was Alhamdulillah wonderful. And now Alhamdulillah I'm still this implemented this method myself. And I'm used to say my student, you have to must recite it, and you have to must recall this thing with friends and your other fellows. So and now Alhamdulillah the subjects of that teacher, Alhamdulillah, when we are given the exam, so we easily write by self. Actually we used to take class on daily basis, and he used to recite and revise on daily basis. That's why we have to know about the SQ3R method. The one of the another scientist was name was the Robert. Sorry for that, Robert Bronze. His name is. He said another method. He declared one another method about the branching study. Branching study technique. He gives the example about, as for example, he had written the one of the subjects. The one of the book is consists of the 100 pages, but he memorized it, and he was realized that how a people can memorize this one. He was just thinking about a book. We can book, can we memorize it? Definitely we can't memorize it, but we can understand, we can easily understand with the few pages, with few concepts of these books. Definitely. So he said another technique of the branching study. Inshallah I'll tell you detail and another session about the branching study. For example, as you are not familiar with this one, but Mr. Harris, as for example, you are the student of the psychology, so definitely psychology is the multiple branches. So what the mind map of it? Just remember mind map. As for example, the one of the subject that I had given exam yesterday before. So the one of the question was came here about classification of beverage technology. Beverage mean anything which we are taken for the pleasure moment. Beverage technology, cold drinks, soft drinks, how they are invented, what are the ingredients of it. That was the subjects related. So when I was classified, so I used to make map on it about. I used to make just a structure on it about, for example, classification of beverages about alcoholic, non-alcoholic. Alcoholic is the two branches, and non-alcoholic is also carbonated, and this one. So this one, the branching method is a very easy. As for example, if you don't memorize anything by paragraph, ठीक है, अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर आप एक पैराग्राफ को नहीं समझ पाते हैं, उसको इस तरह के उसको पॉइंट्स में लिखो। क्यों? पॉइंट्स में आपको चीज़ें ज़्यादा याद हो जाती हैं। अगर पॉइंट्स में भी समझे तो उसको आप इस तरह एक ग्रामेटिकल एक शक्ल देते हो, क्योंकि उसको एक डिज़ाइन में अक्सर आपने देखा होगा जो एमएस वर्ड्स होते हैं उसमें अक्सर इस तरह आइकन्स होते हैं, बॉक्स होते हैं, उसके ब्रांचेस क्लासिफाई किए होते हैं। दैट्स व्हाई फॉर द डिफरेंट वे टू मेमोराइज थिंग, different ways that you have to memorize thing. That's why it's a very familiar that you have to must know about the study technique. ठीक है? And now I'm going to again revise the whole thing. As for example, what was the method name is SQ3R method. Survey, question, and read, record, review. Simple. Read, record, review. You can say 3R, okay? 3R. The first is a kind of paragraph that you have. You have to read and you have to just survey. Okay, how could you to do survey? अब सर्वे को आपने किस तरीके से करना है? सर्वे को आपने इस तरीके से करना है कि आपने जो हाईलाइट्स हैं, टाइटल जो उसको पहले हाईलाइट करो, फिर दूसरी जो है जो उसके सब टाइटल्स हैं, टाइटल सब टाइटल जिसको हम सब्स्टिट्यूएंट भी कहते हैं, उसको हाईलाइट करो। फिर
क्रिकेट वाला ये हाईलाइट्स होता है।
हाँ, वो पूरी जो क्रिकेट का जो स्टूडियो होती है, जो क्रिकेट की जो पूरी गेम हो गई थी उसको हाईलाइट्स पहले बताते हैं, क्योंकि हमारा जो मकसद है हमने क्रिकेट को समझ लेना है। इसी तरीके से अगर हम कोई स्टडी करते हैं, अगर हम कोई पैराग्राफ है हमारे पास, उसको पहले उसमें जो हाईलाइट्स होते हैं, टाइटल्स जो होते हैं, जिस तरह आपका टॉपिक है अबाउट डेली रूटीन, इंट्रोडक्शन, उसको हाईलाइट करो। फिर इंट्रोडक्शन में आप किस टाइम मतलब है कि आप डेली रूटीन में किस टाइम उठते हैं, किस टाइम खाना खाते हैं, किस टाइम आप एकेडमी जाते हैं, तो ये आपके क्या है? सब टाइटल्स हैं। समझ आ रही है सर? अब दूसरी है कि आप उसको अगर इस सर्वे को आपने कर लिए, इसको आपने कितना टाइम देते हैं? मैक्सिमम आपने देने 2 मिनट्स एंड रादर 4 मिनट्स। आपने या 2 मिनट्स देने या 4 मिनट्स देने। फिर उसके बाद आपने क्या करने? उसी एक्सरसाइज में से ये तो अब मैंने एक मिसाल दी कि उसके साथ अगर हम एकेडमिक के 9-10 के एग्ज़ाम होते हैं, स्टूडेंट्स क्या करते हैं, प्रीवियस क्वेश्चंस पेपर देखते हैं। वो क्यों देखते हैं? वो इसलिए देखते हैं ताकि इससे फेमिलियर हो जाए कि किस तरीके से सवालात आ सकते हैं। समझ आई? दैट्स व्हाई एज फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू स्टडी दिस थिंग, for example if you highlight your paragraph and then you have to राइज योर क्वेश्चंस। अब एक और सवाल पैदा होते हैं, मतलब है कि आप स्टूडेंट से यूनिवर्सिटी अगर हमें एक पैराग्राफ दी जाती है कि इसमें सवालात फाइंड आउट करो, कौन कौन से सवालात इसमें से बन सकती हैं, तो आप क्या करते हैं, उसमें से पहले आप क्या करते हैं, उससे पहले आप देखेंगे इंट्रोडक्शन का मतलब क्या है, किस तरीके से करने हैं, क्यों करते हैं, कौन से अल्फाज इसको हम ऐड करते हैं। ये सवालात है ना, यही सवालात अगर हम उस पैराग्राफ से रिलेटेड करेंगे तो ये हमारे लिए आसानी होगी। सेकंड स्टेप हो गए। थर्ड स्टेप के उसको एक मतलब रीड करो। अब फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने आपको एक पैराग्राफ दिया कि व्हाट्स अबाउट मिस्टर सुलेमान, ठीक है, तो आपने सुलेमान के बारे में जान लिया कि सुलेमान एक गुड पर्सनालिटी है और जब बोलते तो ठीक है, तो यही तरीके अगर आपने सुलेमान के बारे में पढ़ लिए, अब सुलेमान के बारे में अगर आपने जो सवालात फाइंड आउट किए थे उसके साथ आपको ऑटोमेटिकली इसके आंसर आपको मिलते रहेंगे। हु वाज मिस्टर सुलेमान, what his role in this paragraph, what was the job of it, what was the what we call the profession of it. Is it clear, Mr. Harris? These questions are familiar with this paragraph. That's why we have to must, and then the fourth one step you have to must memorize it. But memorize with whom? With by itself. But before the memorizing you have to must understanding. याद करने से पहले याद करने से पहले इसको समझो, ठीक है, याद करने से पहले क्या, इसको समझो। जब आप इसको समझोगे तब बासानी से फिर आप उसको याद कर सकोगे। एंड द लास्ट वन दैट वी हैव इज रिव्यू। And how could you do that review? For example, you have to must revise your homework within 24 hours, just for the 5 minutes, just for the 10 minutes, and it's depend on you, on your job. Okay, is it agree for today lecture?
Yes.
Okay, and now Mr. Harris, do you have any question in this lecture? It's very fruitful, okay, and try to must remember this thing.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah, I don't know about this method, but when I have been starting by this live session, so I have been compelling to research more about the study techniques. And now, Alhamdulillah, still about the 10 effective study technique. Inshallah, I'll tell you about the go to good night and study environments. Inshallah, I'll tell you about what are the things that you have to consume it while you are doing study, which time is better than for study. Inshallah, we will discuss it in another session, okay? But that's why the main purpose that we have to be discuss about today, about we have to know about the SQ3R method, how much it helps in our study career. Is it clear for now?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Harris, do you have any question?
No, I have no question, but I am telling about this method. This method is very useful for nowadays students because nowadays our academics course is very lengthy. So we supposed to use this type of method like doing smart working instead of hard
Definitely,
working.
definitely, yes.
So
This
it's
was a
very
main.
useful methods.
Uh,
So
yes, that's why actually this method nobody can taught us.
yes,
Definitely, when I'm really realizing, sometimes I become very sad. Why we have to know about? As for example, the one of the example that I'm going to show to you. You know how we can to do wash our hands? Nobody can taught us. We can learn by the environment.
yes, yes,
अगर हमें ये नहीं पता कि हमने हाथ किस तरीके से धोने हैं और न हमें किसी ने सिखाया है। देख, सिखाना अलग चीज़ है, ऑब्जर्वेटरी लर्निंग जो है वो अलग चीज़ है, ठीक है,
सीखो सिखाओ।
वो अलग चीज़ है, लेकिन हमने कोई सिखाएगा तो हम बेहतर तरीके से हम उसे अंजाम पाएंगे। That's why it's a very useful topic that we have to must implement while our study, okay? Especially when I'm doing study, so I'm realizing why, Mr. Salman, you are not implementing this method on your study. Why you are not implementing on your study while you are doing this kind of jobs? Am I right? So you have to must Mr. You have to must remember this thing, and it's related to your the mind your field about the mind. Maybe it's the mind psychology,
yes,
how you can deal with the another perceptions, right? Yes, that's why. And what do you know about this method, Mr. Suleiman? How much is helpful for you?
I will do
Mm-hmm.
I will do a four.
Yes, you have to revise once again. Yes.
Once again,
Hmm.
three methods.
SQ3RA.
SQ3
Well,
question and
survey.
survey.
Remember, we always remember the sequence of it. Survey, questions, read, record, review. Clear now?
Yes.
Survey, question, read, record, and review. Okay, this is a very powerful method. Okay, try to must watch more videos about it. Okay, actually, if you know the method, we will gain our interest in different fields. If we don't know about the method, so how we can develop our study methods? you know it's a very impressive question there. For example, if someone asks from me, as for example, if I'm not familiar with technology, so how can I use the laptop? Definitely I'll do mistake in there.
Yes.
गलती करूंगा तो तब सीखूंगा ना. That's why we have to know about the first technique. As for example, जो हो गया, forget the past and now you have to take care of the future. How is it helpful for in our future academic career? Clear now?
Yes.
Okay, now Mr. Harris, inshallah, and another session we will discuss about another topic, inshallah, with useful topics. So, inshallah, can we do wind about this session?
Okay.
Well, okay, so see you, inshallah, next time. Assalamu alaikum. You did